Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva President Julius Malema, viva! Viva TG Metro Sposa, viva! Viva the revolutionary TG of the ANC Metro Sposa, viva! Amanda! Amanda! Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Communist Party, viva! Viva YCL, viva! Viva Women's League, viva! Viva Veterans League, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Long live ANC Youth League, long live! Long live ANC Youth League, long live! Long live ANC Youth League, long live! Hands off the leadership of the Youth League, hands off! Thank you very much, comrades. You can settle down. Comrades, we are going to have a very short program. I want to welcome you to the ANC Centenary Lecture. It's a public lecture. All of you who are here are invited, including those who are outside watching on the screens. You are welcome to the Centenary Lecture of the ANC hosted here at Dr. Mkondisi Majogo's branch of the ANC in Johannesburg. Our program is not going to be very long. We're going to be welcomed here by the ANC League-led SRC, ANC League SASCO-led SRC President. He's going to welcome us here, and immediately after that, we're going to be introduced to the leadership of the ANC League that is in this hall. And then the president of the ANC League is going to address. And then the keynote address is going to be given, the main lecture is going to be given by the TG of the ANC, Comrade Matthew Sposa. And then we will close and then we'll go home very peacefully. Without waste of time, comrades, we are going to call the president of the SRC to welcome all of us to Wits University, Comrade President of the SRC. My duty is quite simple. In our culture, in the African culture, when you invite guests over to come in, it is your duty to tell them where they are coming to. So that is my role, is to welcome the guest. Comrade President, duly elected in our Congress, Comrade Julius Malema, the TG of the ANC, Comrade Sposa, members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, fraternal structures. We are here to welcome you at Wits. Over the last couple of days with the lectures and the branch leadership, we've been saying one thing as we host these lectures, is that we could tell you about the challenges of financial exclusions that these people who have come here today to listen to you. We could tell you about the exclusions that these students who have come to listen to you about, which are faced day in and out. We've decided that as important as it is to challenge the Wits University management, we've come to a place where we are cutting out the middleman. The same way we are taking our fight with labor brokers to our government, the fight for free education, we are lobbying it and we are taking it to you. That economic freedom that we want, Comrade President, that we see getting with the political program that the youth is getting, we are saying that we are also taking on free education to our government, okay? Because these are our government. The students who come to listen to you, President, some of them, and TG, some of these students sleep in the libraries, we deal with them day in, day out. Some of these students who come to listen to you for a message of hope, President, are students who were told that they could not come in here and they were able to be funded. At the beginning of the year, it was a sad reality. The treasurer of the SRC and I had to tell students that
your academics are good enough, but your marks are good enough, but we do not have resources to let you in. So the fight is simple, and what we request all these people who are coming to listen to your messages of hope is that the ANC, which we believe is the only political party for this country, we are saying that our message, and as we believe as we go down to Mangaung, that we don't want any opportunistic party to come and speak about free education. We want it to be our party. And that is the welcome that we're going to say. We are not going to give a keynote. We are hopeful, our ears are out, our pens are out, and we're here to listen to your message, President. We welcome you to this university. Amandla!
Amandla! Comrades, without waste of time, we're going to call the branch secretary of the ANC here to come and introduce the leadership. Comrade Yamkele.
Long live Thabo Mbeki, long live. Long live Kgalema Motlanthe, long live. Down Helen Zille, down. Comrades, I'm given a small task due to the fact that there are problems with our REC. It was supposed to be an REC who stayed here. I'm going to introduce the leadership of the ANC Youth League. Going to start with the DSG, the Comrade Kenenswe. We're going to come with Comrade Kenenswe, greet the leadership, the constituency. With Magdalene Montai, spokesperson of the ANC Youth League.
Hands off the Youth League, hands off.
We have Lerato, who came from the ABC.
Amanda!
We have our own secretary of the province, Ayanda Kasa.
Viva branches of Gauteng, viva!
Viva! We have Nati, the PC member of Gauteng. I'm too small to introduce the president of the ANC Youth League. I will give it to other people. Amanda!
Yeah, he's right, he's too small, that is why I couldn't reach the microphone. So, it's understandable. Comrades, are going to call the provincial secretary of ANC in Gauteng to come and raise the president of the ANC, Comrade Secretary.
Njengomuntu ogciniswe isitshixo salelani lengingqi kuthiwa yiRhawuti engumongameli kule ngingqi yalapha eGauteng eyethu sonke bambi iindaba zabo zibuqungu bambi iindaba zabo ziseLimpopo bambi iindaba zabo zingapha nangapha saze sazokhulela apha savathala sangabahlali balengingqi gonna make us laugh and cry at the same time. Tomorrow, the progressive comrades at the front will expect us to adapt and change, and we will go and soldier on towards Mangaung. His name is the president of the Youth League, the commander of the Economic Freedom Charter.
Viva ANC, viva! Viva! Viva Communist Party, viva! Viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva! Long live YCL, long live! Long live! Long live SASCO, long live! Long live! Long live the ANC Youth League, long live! Long live! Long live the Veterans League, long live! Long live! Long live the Women's League, long live! Long live! Long live SAMCO, long live! Long live! Amandla! Down with friends of imperialism, down! Down with tribalist, down! Viva economic freedom, viva! Thank you very much, comrades. The leadership of the Youth League, the branch of Dr. Mkonis Majomozi, the leadership of the Youth League Regional Executive Committee, the chairperson of the region, and the secretary of the region. I do not know the developments the secretary of the branch is talking about. And therefore, to me, you shall be recognized as such until we are updated. Organizationally, comrades in the Provincial Executive Committee led by Provincial Secretary, members of the National Executive Committee of the Youth League, Comrade Deputy Secretary General, the Treasurer General of the ANC, Comrade Matthew Sposa. Comrades were supposed to be addressed by one of our own comrade, Fikile Marula, and he has got two responsibilities. One is that of heading, organizing and campaigning the ANC, and the other responsibility is that of a sports minister. So he agreed that he was going to be part of this gathering today, but he knew he had a minimum. A minimum is where a minister meets with members of executive committees responsible for sports in provinces, executive councils. Now, he thought that meeting is in Pretoria, and he was told a day before yesterday that actually the meeting is in Cape Town. So when you don't see Fikile here, you must not think that he's one of those who relate with us when it is nice, and when it is difficult, he disappears. He's a fellow fighter, a fearless fighter of our own movement, and is not to be intimidated anytime soon. We want to thank the Treasurer General of the ANC for agreeing to come and speak to us, because he was only told yesterday, and as a combat who's always ready to deal with revolutionary duties, he responded positive. But if it was one of those who have a difficulty associating with the Youth League, you would have used an excuse that, no, you can't tell me a day before, and therefore I can't make it. We are very proud of you, Comrade TG, because you don't treat us like those who think that we've got a political leprosy. And I don't want to be and they don't want to be affected by this leprosy. Now, of late, people are scared to associate with the Youth League. And every time we get leaders who come out in the open to support and associate with the Youth League, that inspires hope, and it tells us that not all is lost. We still have got some courageous leaders in the Congress movement. It's important again, comrades, that we are meeting in this branch where one of the people who came with the idea of forming the Youth League attended school. And we're proud that the Youth League branch here, in honor of Comrade Nkosi Majomo, confirmed by President Mandela that he's actually the one who came with the idea of forming the Youth League. We are happy that the branch has taken a conscious decision to honor that comrade. It tells you that we've got branches of the Youth League Provincial Secretary in Gauteng who are politically conscious, who follow the history of the organization, and branches of the Youth League in Johannesburg who know the true leaders of our organization. More importantly, to celebrate a life of a cadre who has never sold out the ANC Youth League. Comrades, the Treasurer General of the ANC is going to deal in detail with the history of the ANC and the significance of celebrating 100 years of the ANC. I'm just going to touch on a few critical areas which involve the youth movement in the African National Congress. We all know that the ANC, when it was formed in 1912, it was actually not an organization of everybody. It was an organization of civilized black men. Many of them thought, because of their standing in society, either as people who come from royal families or as educated people, thought they need to come together to form an umbrella body which will confront the settlers. They wanted to confront the settlers because they were all victims of settlers who have stolen land from them, and not only land, including cattle. And therefore, those in Mozambique, in Swaziland, Botswana, Lesotho, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and many other countries in Southern Africa, they were all victims of these settlers. And what they did, they realized that because they are all victims, they need to come together to form an organization. They were just fighting for what belongs to them. They didn't want any favor from anybody. But with time, they then developed ambition of wanting to be included in the nonsensical regime. They never had a mind that they can actually overthrow that government. They were now fighting to be part of native representatives' councils. We know that some of the ANC presidents have actually represented the ANC in those councils. And the role of those councils was nothing else but to deal with grievances of black people. And they did not have a mandate beyond that. And as they were sending delegations to London, sending petitions to London, they were actually not asking for the removal of that government of the day. they were arguing the Queen to instruct those who represented South Africa to include them in that government. And those petitions, delegations did not help in any way. So, ANC being an organization of gentlemen even at that time, some of the revolutionary songs we sing today about our land, about our economy, about our rights were not there. They were actually singing church songs. Or any song they compose, even if it's not a church song, it will sound like a church song. Because by their own nature, they were very peaceful. They didn't want to harm anybody. They wanted to be included. That's all they wanted. And you can go through the history of every president of the ANC. Not all of them were progressive. Not all of them believed in what we believe in today. We celebrate them, we celebrate the history of the ANC, Comrade TG. In reflecting history, we must not only tell a good story, we must give a true reflection of history, because to avoid telling the other part is equal to a distortion of history. And it's important that when a president has made blunders, we refer to that, so that those who are leading today, they too should know that history will tell that one day they should have. One of them is President John Dube. You will remember that at some point he formed, having been the first president of the ANC, supposed to be a seasoned cadre, a person who understands the mission of the African National Congress. When there were differences, he left and went to form iKhongolose yaseNatal. But today, maybe some of those things we will not want to talk about. Comrade Sefako Makgato was one of those progressive presidents who dealt with the issue of land decisively. You will know that Dr. Kuma actually opposed the program of action presented to the ANC by the ANC Youth League. We know that Comrade Albert Lutuli was one of the peaceful presidents of the ANC. Owar Tambo managed to hold the organization together under difficult conditions, in exile, under serious threats by the regime, when our leaders were in prison, when our leaders were underground, when some of our leaders were killed, when O.R. Tambo knew that he can be a victim of those wars, he never sold out the Congress movement. President Mandela, after release from prison and becoming the president of the country, inspired hope and made it possible for all to understand that it is possible to have a united South Africa, and it is possible to work towards reconciliation and forgiving those who have caused harm on us, and not even want to show remorse. Even if they are not showing remorse, President Madiba said, we are the ones with the vision, and therefore we should not allow these subjective issues to make us undermine our long vision of an unracial and sexist democratic South Africa. President Mbeki reaffirmed the role of the ANC as a leader in the African continent and inspired hope amongst all Africans, not only in South Africa. President Mbeki prioritized the issue of African agenda. President Mbeki introduced policies that inspired a lot of hope amongst hopeless Africans. He confronted imperialists. He was not scared of imperialists. He engaged them, and they all knew that it is not easy with President Mbeki. Now, having said that, confronted today with difficult challenges. We are not talking succession. We are evaluating leadership. We are not in any way trying to create an impression that we have actually made up our minds. It's actually very difficult to assess people who are in the leadership position in the moment, because those are the people you are expected to work with on a daily basis. And those are the people that you actually should inspire confidence. The ANC is going into its Congress in December, where an assessment of this leadership will be made. But it is under President Zuma that we have seen the youth of the ANC being traumatized, expelled from their own home. It is under President Zuma that we have seen a critical voice of the voiceless being suppressed in the ANC. We have seen under President Zuma democracy being replaced with dictatorship. We have seen an intolerance, people who become impatient with the youth. We have seen under President Zuma people who do not appreciate new opinions. They actually suppress new ideas. And new ideas, I don't know, maybe they serve as a threat to the current leadership of the ANC. Now, those are the observations we are making. We may not be entirely correct. Others may give an alternative view. And by the way, when we say under President Zuma, this is what we are observing, we include the leadership of Comrade Matthew Sposa. because he's a treasurer general under that leadership. There is nothing personal about it. Because in politics we have to be honest to each other. We must never pretend to one another. We must give a true reflection of what is happening. If we want to become pretenders, then we have chosen a wrong career. They do so because they care. Because if they stopped caring about you, they will never talk about you. You must be worried, Comrade Matthew, the day we don't talk about you. Because it means we have given up. But if we continue to talk about you, we are worried about you. And it means you cross our minds. And we must give you our thoughts. What is important about learning between now and what happened under President Dr. Zuma is that the Youth League was very radical. The Youth League challenged the status quo. Some of the old people were uncomfortable with President Mandela. They actually told him and called him many names. They told him he likes things. What he's talking about is not going to happen. It's not possible. But what we learn from that history is that they have created a space for democratic engagement. Because discipline should never replace democratic engagement. Discipline must never be used to suppress debate. What is ill-discipline about thinking? Maybe let's debate that. Let's debate that. You've got the right to think. Even if you think about wrong things, that right must be protected. Your right to think. You cannot be punished for thinking. You require no permission to think. You are born with that capacity to think. And if you want to sell out that birthright, it's your own baby to nest. You must never allow a situation where somebody takes away your right to think. Let's say the Youth League is wrong. You cannot punish them for thinking. You must punish them for acting. They say they are going to Botswana with the command team. That is what they are thinking. They have not done that. Into another country and tamper with the democracy of that country. It's wrong, it is unacceptable. But after telling them it is wrong, they still take a decision to go. They take bikes full of weapons into Botswana. Then they must be punished. But for thinking, they should never be punished. Nobody should be punished for thinking. At least Dr. Zuma understood that principle. Because the youth of the 40s became impatient. They didn't appreciate the way the ANC was doing things. They thought we must meet fire by fire. It's President Mandela who came with that idea. Can you imagine under a president who has been honored with the Nobel Peace Prize, you take a decision decision to take arms. President Lutuli is honored as a peaceful man. Under that presidency, President Mandela says we must take up arms and meet fire with fire. And he doesn't only theorize about it, he lives and becomes the first great cadre of Mkhonto weSizwe. You can imagine what happened at that time, how the leadership reacted, how the elders reacted, because there was no youth league before that youth league of Mandela to learn from. They couldn't make any reference. They didn't know how to handle the youth, but they appreciated that the youth have become impatient, and we must lead them. We must not allow this energy to disappear. And then it is that youth which led to the People's Congress in 1955. It is that youth which led to the formation of Mkhonto weSizwe. Because they were not scared, they were not just excited, they believed in the cause. Even when arrested, they said they are prepared to die. They didn't beg for forgiveness. They didn't mitigate about having children and wives to look after. Madiba in a new marriage at the time, married to a revolutionary comrade Winnie Mandela. They never went to court to plead those things because they believed in the cause. Products of the ANC Youth League. It is the young Christian in exile who led people who submitted the memorandum to the leadership of the ANC and criticized them. And Chris was found guilty and he was supposed to be dealt with. O.R. Tambo, the product of the youth movement, said, instead of attacking these comrades, maybe we should listen to their demands. When Chris was finished, when everybody thought Christian was going to be killed, O.R. Tambo intervened, the president of the ANC, and said, maybe they've got a point, maybe we need to listen to them. It is the youth inspired by the 1944 generation that formed the South African Student Organization. It is the youth of 1976 inspired by 1944. The youth of 1979. The youth of 1982 class boycott. The youth of 1983, the formation of UDF. The biggest affiliates of UDF were youth organizations. It is the youth of 1985, 1986 under Peter Mokaba who responded to the call of O.R. Tambo, render South Africa ungovernable and apartheid machinery unworkable. That's the youth. Those are young people O.R. Tambo declared, but these are the young lions. It is the youth under Comrade Peter Mokaba in the 90s who helped to establish the structures of the ANC after the release of political prisoners, after the unveiling of political parties, the return of exiles, the underground now operating freely in the country. They were welcomed by that youth. It is that youth which confronted Inkatha in the townships when IFP wanted to terrorize our people. Even when President Mandela was in peace talks with the IFP in Natal about violence in Thokoza and everywhere else, Peter Mokaba took a podium and said, we are not scared of IFP, we are actually going to break their hostels brick by brick. And President Mandela was very angry. And he called him, "You are messing up my negotiations for peace." Then in Thokoza, where you made that statement of breaking hostels of the IFP, you must go back there. Same rally, same number of people, go and apologize. The Youth League under Mugabe organized the same rally, went to apologize to the leadership of the movement. Because all of us were guided by the leadership of the movement. The leadership must provide leadership. The leadership must not be scared to provide leadership. It doesn't matter how many times we are wrong. The leadership has got no option to be tired. You can never be tired of being a parent. Even if your child is no more, if you had one child and that child passes on, you always cherish that moment and always speaks very proud of that child, even when that child is no longer there. So it's going to be worse when the child is still alive. Comrade, after Peter Mokaba, there was Lulu Johnson, differed with President Mandela about the Springbok emblem. Madiba told them, "You are no longer going to speak on this matter." Lulu Johnson took a podium and attacked again the Springbok emblem. The Youth League was going to a conference. After defying Madiba, after attacking the Springbok emblem, they went to Madiba to ask for money for the Congress. And he said, "Yeah, I've been looking for you." The same person you listen to, when he or she speaks to you, that person must give you money. Because when me, every time I address you, the youth, you don't listen to me. So I don't have money to play. Go and find yourself money somewhere. The youth league had to go to each leader of the ANC begging, "Can you please talk to Madiba? We need money for our Congress." Under President Mbeki, Comrade Malusi Gigaba attacked COSATU and Communist Party consistently when they were attacking GIA. He called them all different names, and they too were old. They were not young. I remember one of COSATU's strikes against privatization. He characterized that strike as a political strike against the leadership of the ANC and insinuating that these leaders of the tripartite alliance are actually agents who are deployed to destabilize the African National Congress. They and the country. They raised concerns, they engaged the Youth League under President Mbeki. President Mbeki did the same. Under President Mbeki, there was Fikile Mbalula, who attacked President Mbeki several times, including telling President Mbeki that you think that you are not replaceable, we are going to replace you. Even when the leadership was so angry and tempted to destroy him, they've never done that. They actually engaged the Youth League. The ANC under President Mbeki, they utilized every moment available to them to meet the Youth League, even when they knew that they will not agree, but they will have meetings with them. You can ask Comrade Terra Lekota will tell you, he didn't miss those meetings because he had problems with the Youth League and he was the chair of those meetings. But many were talking history And one of the leaders once said to me, no, it's not, you can't do it because others have done it. It's wrong to think like that. Okay, let's not talk about others. We have done it. We criticized President Mbeki and called for his removal. We were called the Radical Youth League. This youth league is radical. That's what we need, the youth. We attacked the Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe. A vicious statement against him. Attacked him. But there was never a point where we were asked to come and explain that statement. There was never. We attacked the Treasurer General of the ANC on this debate on nationalization. There was never a point where we were asked to come and explain. So are there some individuals in the organization who cannot be criticized? Are there some individuals in the organization who cannot be spoken about? The rest of these people, you can attend to them the way you want. You are radical and militant. But when we criticize you, we are ill-disciplined. I'm not talking history now. I'm talking about me. I've done it to other leaders of the ANC. Very important. The youth must be militant. Absolutely. Because you are talking about somebody else. But when you come to me, how you are Galamant. It cannot be. It cannot be correct that other leaders in the organization cannot be criticized, but the rest can be criticized. I'm inspired by Floyd's article in Mail and Guardian. That's why I'm speaking my mind. Floyd says we must speak our mind. So I'm led by Floyd. I'm expressing my views without fear or favor. Anyway you have made up your minds about me, I will never change you. Whatever I say, even if I was to come and kneel before you, you will never change your mind about it. You have made up your mind about the youth of the ANC. Comrades, our program is very simple. We need nationalization of minds. And that is what economic freedom means. Political freedom, when they ask what is a political freedom, is when we vote for the party of our choice to be in power and control the state. What is economic freedom? Economic freedom is the control of our own mineral resources and our economy. Wow. So we cannot have this political freedom without economic freedom. Let me give you a simple example. At home, if for whatever reason your father is retrenched from work and is no longer able to provide to the family, and the last born has just graduated medicine, is a doctor and is the only one who's providing to the family, the ideas that are going to matter most are that of last born because he's the provider than those of the father. But the father remains a father with political authority. But the ideas of how this family is going to move and the renovations we are going to make in this house are not of the father. We must simplify it because they want to make it complicated. There's nothing complicated about it. We need our land, and we cannot pay for that land. It is our land. We cannot. We must never be asked to compensate robbers and criminals who have stolen our land. This is our land. And this land is what led to the formation of the ANC. This ANC was not formed for blue lights and air conditioning. It was formed for land. This land, and when we say this land belongs to us, we don't mean that our fellow white South Africans must be driven to a sea. That's not what we mean. They too, this land belongs to them. But they've got majority of it in their hands, and we want a bigger portion of it because they come as well. Yeah, where is Jonathan?
He went outside. When he comes back, I'll ask him to come here.
A white young boy, I'm teaching him radical politics. And I'm teaching him that color is not very important. What is important and what should be celebrated is ideas, not color. You can be black and rational. It is not your color that makes you a revolutionary. And not all these white people, by the way, are opposed to our demand of the land. They understand that it is an injustice which must be addressed. You can't say South Africa belongs to all of us, but I have nothing to show as a sign of ownership. There's nothing I can point to here. You see, this is the proof that I belong here. The only thing I have is a green ID that confirms that I'm South African, but I have nothing. I do not own the means of production, and that is incorrect. For those who are at school, the struggle for free education does not only belong to you, it belongs to all of us, because it is through education that we will get a sustainable economic freedom. We can't have economic freedom managed by illiteracy. That economy will collapse. That government will collapse, will be directionless, will be on an autopilot because you don't know where you want to take this government. State is a big institution. It needs sophisticated men and women. That's why education is very important. And therefore, moving into the future, the debate on leadership should not be about credentials, but should be about, can this man understand inflation? Because those are the things that are governing our day-to-day life, not about whether you're in Robben Island, whether you're in Angola and all that. Very important credentials, but we need people who will understand what influences the price at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Because that is the second transition the ANC speaks about. That is the transition we should speak about, the transition to control the economy. You can't have a situation where majority of people are unemployed, and majority of those who are unemployed, they are no longer looking for a job. They actually stay in townships. They have become beggars. Every day you go home, especially those of you who attend here in Vets, when you go home in townships and villages, the first thing they ask you is 2 rand of cigarette, or can you buy them beer? It's not a joke. They do that because they've lost hope. They've looked for jobs to a point where they have given up. It is this youth league that must give them hope. It is the youth league that must tell them that the future looks bright. You must never give up. We need houses. And we need better houses. We must not repeat what the apartheid government did to our people. We need water and electricity. And this electricity must be affordable to ordinary people, especially those who are not working. Because we always pride ourselves that we have connected so many houses with electricity. But we need to ask the question, how many of those people can put this globe on? Connection is free, but for this light to be on, you must pay a lot of money. They don't work, they are unemployed, they don't have any form of income. So we need to ensure that those people have access to electricity. We must demand that our people should have proper sanitation and proper toilets. We can't, under ANC government and in the municipalities that are ruled by the ANC, you have open toilets. It cannot be corrected. The ANC struggle was to bring back the dignity of our people. Those are the things we are demanding. We don't want to remove anybody from power. We don't want to kill anybody. We want to better the lives of our people. Because it is those people, when they are not inspired, they will revolt against this temple. Because they will see all of us as a problem. Those mothers who go to work without transport, those mothers who stay in the back rooms of those who have employed them, we must give them hope. We must protect them. Their rights are important. But because the conditions are not so conducive for them, they've given up. Even when they are raped several times in those bedrooms, they never talk because they think there is nobody to listen. The money they pay them, they can't do anything with that money because Machonisa is waiting for them. He wants money. Those mothers, when even if it's hot or it's cold, it's raining, they wear a plastic. They don't have umbrellas. They go to work even when they know that at the end of the month, there's nothing I will get. But for as long as I can inspire hope on these children, the children of the poor, every day they stand at the bus stops, looking at the buses, waiting to see if their mother is coming out of a bus with a plastic bag. Because if she's carrying a plastic bag, it means today she came back with leftovers. But if she's not carrying a plastic, then they know, those children, that today we are going to sleep without food. These women, they continue to go to work because it is these leftovers that give their children hope. Even when they eat these leftovers as dinner in the evening, they don't finish them. Because they know tomorrow when they come back for break, they must still find something. For whatever reason, when they come back during break, they don't find those food. They never complain. They go back to school, continue to study with an empty stomach. We must stop a situation where our people convert kitchens to be bedrooms in the evening, and they wake up early, they can't even enjoy their sleep so that they can convert the bedroom into a kitchen. That must come to an end. Mothers who give birth to help these mothers. There is nobody at home. Children who are 7-year-old, 8-year-old, they are forced by circumstances to help their mothers to give birth. They cannot even run to next door because this woman needs help. And when these children grow up with anger, we don't understand why. It is those traumatic situations they've gone through which have built this anger in them. We have not done anything wrong. We only fought for those people. And for those people, I want to confirm to you that we will never betray this revolution. The struggle continues. Within and outside the ANC, we are the children of the ANC. We will die children of the ANC. Even when we are fired, the DNA will confirm that our blood is black, green and gold, and that blood will never change. That's who we are. We don't need a religion. The ANC is our home. The ANC does not belong to an individual. You are the African National Congress. We have lost many friends today because they love positions more than principle. Because they are scared to tell the truth. Because they are scared to lose jobs. Nobody is going to kill them. You are just going to lose a job. In the same way, I've just lost a job, but I'm still alive. It's better to lose a job than to lose life. These people who are scared to lose jobs, it's clear that during the time of Solomon Mahlangu, they were not going to survive. They were going to sell out. Before even the poor will touch them, they will be saying they are that side. I can give you direction. Because you are inspired by Solomon. Even when the poor were about to hang him, even when he was confronting them, even when he knew on the 6th of April that today I'm going to be hanged, with a rope on his neck, they asked him to say last words. He said, tell my mother to tell my people that I love them. You must tell them to continue with a good fight. Because my blood will nourish a tree that will bear the fruit of you. Those are the ways that inspire. Before I sit down, Comrade TG, I want to introduce Jonathan. This is the young man I'm mentoring on radical politics and on creation of non-racial South Africa. South Africa belongs to me and him, but we must share the land of this country. Thank you. Amanda! Amanda! Viva ANC! Viva! Viva! Oh, Pita Mukama Kale! Azona Sinje Akale! Azona Sinje Uzole! Azona Sinje Akale!
This program is not yet complete. We're still going to have the TG of the ANC to give the keynote address in terms of what we're here for. So let's settle down until we've completed the program. Now we're going to call the DSG of the ANC, Comrade Gileto, to introduce the TG of the ANC. Comrade DSG.
Viva Cosas, viva! Viva! Viva Sasco, viva! Viva! Viva YCL, viva!
Viva the ANC Youth League, viva! Viva! Viva Comrade Julius Malema, viva! Viva! Viva the NEC of Youth League, viva! Viva! Viva Comrade Provincial Secretary Ayana of Gauteng, viva! Viva! Viva Comrade Temua, viva! Viva! Viva Comrade Yamukela, viva! Viva! Viva the University Management, viva! Viva the media, viva! Comrades, I want to say thank you, Comrade President of the Youth League. He spoke for a very long time. He said he won't speak about the history, but he did just that. And he did very good justice to that history, to the extent he could. And of course, it becomes necessary, therefore, to say, where are we going from here? Yes. Otherwise, we're going to look like that unmanned aircraft, flying to nowhere, but flying. 2012 is a year full of many activities. It is the beginning of a century pregnant with challenges and hopes. During June this year, we will be holding a policy conference which will enable us to debate policy and inform our national conference which is taking place at the end of the year. And we invite you to make inputs into every document produced by the African National Congress and to make your ideas and your views and your opinions known so that they are integrated in the planning for the future. During December, we'll hold a national conference which will take resolutions to finalize the debates which we shall have had in June and to map the way forward. The branches of the ANC will lead us in the process towards the policy conference and also in the process towards the national conference. The source of authority in the ANC is a branch. And it is those branches of the ANC which will decide policy. It is those branches of the ANC which will decide on the new leadership, and nobody else. The decisions we will take in December will impact on our manifesto for the elections, national and provincial elections of 2014. Some may think 2014 is very far, but comrades, 2014 is behind the corner. And we must prepare for it, not in 2013, but now. And I'll come to this point later. Also this year, comrades, the country will be blessed. We'll be holding the Socialist International Conference, taking place on our soil. Once more, the world will descend on us and will engage in important international politics affecting the direction which progressive forces must take in the world. This is a special year during which we are celebrating our centenary. 100 years of one of the most historic struggles in the history of humanity. The last tip of Africa became free on the 27th of April 1994, led by our former president, Nelson Mandela. I want to take this opportunity and ask you to invite you in wishing him a healthy life and a long life. What happened in those many years? Comrade Julius explained. Years of sacrifice, selflessness, dedications, trials and tribulations. Yet, we survived. You know that? Dr. Majomo, as it was said, Floyd Sibambo, who's here, with a red shirt, red beret. I see the berets are moving from black to red now. The situation is becoming very dangerous now. Your commitment to quality education is crucial, comrades, as the quality of both our technical and academic and business management education will play a substantial role, if not crucial role, in determining the kind of future our children will face. My heartfelt request and plea, therefore, is for a total commitment to our studies, and on the side of the lecturers, an even bigger commitment towards quality lecturing and stimulating content. The political battle has been decisively won, comrades, and the battle for other victories will play out on various platforms, mostly in the area of improving quality of our education and economic liberation. We need students coming through the ranks that are well qualified to play important educational and professional political leadership roles in the future. We need those last borns, Comrade Malema, who will decide the shape of the house and the shape of the kitchen. Our goal of economic freedom currently formulates itself around the ability of government and the private sector to create new jobs in a globally trying times. In the context of economic liberation, our aim also is to create capacity, to create jobs, to create opportunities, and to do everything that we humanly can do to create as many South African entrepreneurs as possible. Being unemployed is an indignity, and you must understand the helplessness in people without jobs. It's like being uneducated. It's like not seeing where to go tomorrow. Not having access to information is very dangerous. Government has announced a massive and comprehensive infrastructure rollout program to reach. It's announcing hundreds of billions of rand. But the challenge, comrade, is implementation. It does not matter how much money we have and how many pronouncements we make. The test lies in implementation of those plans. We are investing substantially in renewable energy, and more than 10,000 jobs, we are told, will be created through our efforts to maximize wind, solar, and other forms of energy. The test is implementation. That is the test. But at the end, they say in Shangani, Mitiro Yabula. If government and private sector can join hands to unlock opportunities inherent in this initiative, we can go a long way towards the goals of economic freedom as outlined. Our Constitution is a living document that has undergone numerous amendments. In a robust democracy, leaders and society will always interact about the need for its laws and constitution to reflect from time to time the priorities and needs of a young and liberated society. We are a young democracy, and our constitution is young, and certain things will happen which makes it mature and get older. In that context, the need arises to look at the guiding overall legal framework from time to time and to create a platform for discussions around it. The one thing that is not debatable, comrade, is the principle embedded in the Constitution of fairness, transparency, the protection of human rights, and the rights of association, not to mention the right to think and to express your thoughts. I've not seen Comrade Malema for a long time, so if some of the elements and ideas look similar, it's because we belong to the same organization. In all of this, the youth, and particularly the students, have a crucial role to play. And you listen to me carefully, to rigorously defend the Constitution, but also to ensure that our norms and guidelines of society reflect the ever-changing and dynamic environment in which we live. You can never, ever become the lackeys and puppets of the old generation. When you or I verbalize certain positions or point of view, we are exercising our hard-fought for democratic right to state our convictions. It is therefore unfair when you or I speak to attempt to find areas where we seem to contradict others. It is my right to have a point of view and to express it without the fear of having it juxtaposed against that of others. The ANC should be at the vanguard of protecting others' rights, and within and without the movement, to differ from one another when it is necessary. Your task is to energetically question the policies, the institutions, and the legal frameworks that guide not only your lives, but shape your destiny in future. Without such an approach of willingness to differ from one another, and to differ publicly sometimes, our liberation and our constitution will be in danger. A case in point is the issue of service delivery. The student youth should be verbal about this issue, and particularly about the fact that election politics will in future boil down to whether people have houses, transport, good roads, water, electricity, and an empty or full stomach. That's going to determine who holds power in this country in the future. Not what the promises we make, but the actions we take to fulfill our promises. That's going to determine who holds power in this country. And we cannot wait for the election year to raise these issues sharply. We must raise them now and deliver services now, not tomorrow, because there's an election. Voters know that they have been liberated politically. They know that, and you can't educate them about that, because they fought for that political liberation, but they want service delivery. Voters are not interested in the squabbles between leaders. They will never eat such things. They want pap and fleece. At the funeral of the late Moses Mabhida in Mozambique, Comrade Slovo made the statement, which for me still rings true, in a long speech paying tribute to the late Comrade Mabhida. He said, comrades, when we go home, the people will not eat slogans. They want to eat bread. And I'm saying today, if you can't afford bread, at least you must afford pap and fleece. And that is practical life. That is practical life. And if you can't provide those basics, we'll be in trouble. So the ANC must stand up for the poor and defend the rights of the poor and provide for the poor. What I ask therefore is, let us engage robustly
But let us always do so with the best interest of our country at heart. I was asking myself, Comrade Julius, why is there so much interest in tonight's meeting? I don't know how many journalists phoned me and said, are you coming? It's my Labor Day. I said, yes, I'm coming. Now, the last time I didn't attend a rally in Bushbuckridge, it made news. Today I'm attending this rally, it still makes news. I want to assure you, Comrade Malema, we appreciate this education of the young cadres of the movement. We must not be afraid of ideas which do not look some similar to ours. We must not be threatened by different ideas. Ideas are the spears of tomorrow. We must not blunt those spears. Thank you.
Amanda! Amanda! Viva TG of the ANC, viva! Viva TG of the ANC, viva! Comrade Matthews Posa is a TG and therefore an official of the ANC. He's going to remain an official of the ANC, even post 53rd National Conference of the ANC. That is the reality. That was speaking reality in terms of what is the perspective. Now, we are going to acknowledge the presence now. He arrived a bit late of Comrade Abner, a National Executive Committee member, Comrade Abner. And then the Regional Secretary of the ANC in Johannesburg, Comrade Mathatini. The Regional Chair, Comrade Desmond, is going to come and give vote of thanks, and then we'll be done with this particular meeting. Comrade Chair.
Mancha! Mancha! Away, two! Hands off, Johannesburg, hands off! Hands off, Johannesburg, hands off! Comrade President, mine is simple. We are not going to disband Vale's branch because it did not recognize the leadership of Johannesburg. We are not as petty like that. But we must thank the comrades in Vale's Xolisi Majomosi branch for organizing such a wonderful lecture today. We'll always acknowledge good work instead of looking for weaknesses. Comrades, as the leadership of Johannesburg, comrades, we want to thank the TG of the ANC. We know you always had the fair share of your problems just because you spoke in support of the ANC Youth League. We'll remember you as we grow old as well. We'll never forget you. Comrades, allow me to thank the son of Johannesburg as well. We have declared many times as the leadership of Johannesburg that President Julius, Johannesburg is your home. We will always stand by you. Comrades, above all, let me also thank the former president of VET, Comrade Floyd. Comrades and students today must always remember that we walked through this place before. So therefore, comrades, you must know that their future should never be anywhere beyond the Youth League. You are a living icon whom they must always copy. The provincial leadership and the rest of the National Executive Committee members who are here, if we have thanked the President, we have thanked all of you. The leadership of the Wits branch, the SRC President, thank you, comrade, for welcoming us here. We felt welcome. Indeed, you are leading. If a leader stands and speaks and says there's a lecture and you have your constituency as full as this, it shows that we made no mistake by choosing you as the president of this institution. Continue to lead them even beyond here. Make sure that academic exclusion and financial exclusion should never happen in Wits. Chief amongst all, we need to thank the presence of the most important tools in the economic freedom struggle, the student. You are an important tool which will make sure that this struggle of economic freedom is not undermined, it remains relevant. Thank you for leaving everything and come and listen and take hope and messages from the leadership. You did not hear it from anybody. It was not interpreted, but we hear it in first hand. It shows that the African National Congress Youth League still says to you, let's come together and march on. We will not leave the struggle for economic freedom unattended. It is our struggle, let's take ownership of that struggle. So as well, we thank all of you for coming from all over, even branches of the ANC Youth League, the leadership which is here. We know you, they wanted to be here earlier. But those who are here, the message do not only belong to you. Continue to educate others who are not here. So that this struggle, it's not by any chance closed by anybody who wants to wish so. Remain ambassadors of the message of economic struggle. So in those few words, comrade, I want to thank all of you for coming and be patient with the speeches which were said today. Amanda! Away to Amanda!